Welcome to Khaliis Take. If it's your first time, please like, subscribe. Also hit the notification bell just so you can get the newest content first. But hey, let's just go ahead and jump right in. The one problem that I see that a lot of people might not even be speaking on with Kawhi Leonard, I spoke about Kawhi in regards to the fact that he's not happy with the team. If you watched my last video, if you haven't, you can also watch that, about Kawhi not being happy and speaking out about, the way everything's going with the team and everything and how he's being used. And, and there again, I also spoke about other players like John Wall, speaking out saying that he wasn't happy with the minutes and stuff that he's getting. And I can definitely understand that because, Kawhi is the superstar of the team. John Wall's a star player. Paul George is a star player. So it's like those players right there, they have to get theirs. They have to get their points. They have to get their minutes. They have to get theirs. And everybody else's job is to follow, not run the offense, try to run the offense through every single player and make every single player happy because, some players may sound out of place, or the fact that you're trying to build some type of continuity so quickly because your superstars are in and out the lineup. And I feel like that's what Ty Lue is doing. I feel like he's trying to, do the same thing he did a couple seasons ago. Like I look at a game like last night or the other night against the Wizards, when I looked at the game, Kawhi had about 5 or 6 assists somewhere in there. And, it's almost like, and in the game before that, I saw Paul George have 7 assists, no turnovers. And Kawhi had 6 assists with no turnovers as well. But this is what I'm talking about. You're trying to get your two main players to be something that they're not. That's not their game. If they give you 4 or 5 assists a game, that's fine. But 5, 6, 7 plus is not really their game. And that's why I said I feel like Ty Lue is coaching the wrong way, because you're trying to ask guys to do something that they really don't need to be doing. That's what John Wall is for. That's what Reggie Jackson is for. Tell Reggie Jackson to tone down on some of his shot taking and pass it up to Kawhi more, pass it up to PG more, get the ball to John Wall more. You see what I'm talking about? You got guys in place to do those things. I know Ty Lue is trying to appeal to every player on the team, and you've been hearing rumblings about, like I said, not only John Wall, but I heard something about a video I spoke on Robert Covington, not being too satisfied with the minutes he's getting. You know what I'm saying? I understand that Ty Lue is trying to appeal to everybody, but you can't. You got to make sure your main guys eat and everybody else eat what's left on the plate afterwards. That's exactly how it's supposed to go. That's different between superstars, star players, and role players. That's the difference between all that. It trickles down. It's a domino effect. You see what I'm saying? So that's how you have to play it. And I don't really like the way Ty Lue's been coaching so far this season. As I said before, I just see not a lot of conciseness in his lineups and the way he chooses to, interchange his lineups. I just don't see it. I'm starting to see a lot of Doc Rivers in his game plan, more so than, another game plan. You see what I'm saying? I'm really not liking that personally. But my main thing is, the one thing I see from Kawhi Leonard, honestly, that a lot of people might not be talking about, that even when he's on the floor, like the last night or the other night when he played the Wizards, he played 30 minutes. That's the most I think I've seen him play. I've been, for the most part, I've been seeing 26 to 28 minutes on average. And what I saw from Kawhi Leonard is no aggression. You see what I'm saying? It's like Kawhi Leonard is looking to get everybody else involved, play with the flow of the offense, and get everybody else involved instead of getting himself going the way he needs to. And I think, for some reason, just a hunch of mine, I feel like Kawhi Leonard might be almost reliving a San Antonio Spurs situation once again. Because in San Antonio, he had situations or games like this where he was disgruntled with the organization. Either he didn't play, and when he did play, he would go out there and give you the effort and everything, but you could just see some things in this game where he kind of like scaled back a little bit rather than letting it all go like he usually does when he's out there on the floor. And for what I'm seeing in this situation here, I see the lack of aggression with Kawhi Leonard, and it's really starting to bother me because it's making me wonder, does he really give a damn anymore? Because, if he's been upset with this team since the beginning of this season, how they're utilizing him and how they're not letting him play back-to-backs, how they're not letting him do what he he wants to do as the player, as a superstar player he is. As I said before in my last video, that can upset a superstar player, and that can make them walk and go elsewhere. And this is the one thing the Clippers can't afford. You can't afford Kawhi Leonard to walk and go elsewhere, because if he leaves, they're never going to win a championship probably, because, I think Paul George is really good, but I don't think Paul George can help win a championship unless Kawhi Leonard's on the floor. Because Paul George, as you see, I think they didn't play the Wizards. I forgot exactly who they played, maybe a couple nights before that. But, Paul George had like 30 points, and Kawhi, didn't play. It was the Miami Heat, actually. Yeah, it was the Miami Heat. They played the Miami Heat. Paul George had 30 points. And he had a really outstanding game, for the most part. But because Kawhi wasn't on the floor, they didn't beat the Miami Heat. You see what I'm talking about? Kawhi makes that much of a difference. Now he scores 30 points against the Wizards, even though Miami Heat is better than the Wizards. But he scores 30-plus points against the Wizards. And because Kawhi's on the floor, they win the game. This is why I'm saying Kawhi's effect is so much on the game. People do not realize how good of a player he is. Paul George can put up a lot of points, but he's not going to help you win anything. So my point is, they better find a way to get Kawhi healthy, not only healthy, but keep him healthy, but keep him satisfied as well. Because when Kawhi is not playing with the aggressiveness that he usually does, that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign for him wanting to be there. And we all know Kawhi, when Kawhi is bothered by something, it shows. Either he doesn't play, or he voices it somehow. Somehow it gets through media somehow, even though he doesn't really talk. But it never ends well. And like I said, the Clippers, they're looked at as this prominent team and all that, but the way they're looking right now, we've had enough games this season to evaluate them, to see, what potentially they could look like in the future. And right now, it's really, really hard to tell, because you're not seeing Kawhi be aggressive, and it's like he's not being aggressive intentionally. You see what I'm saying? And those are the type of things you don't want to see from any superstar player. If they're not aggressive intentionally, or it looks like they're scaling some of their game back just because, that's not a good thing. And as I said before, I don't know what the hell this Clippers organization is doing, but if you're trying to ruin a Kawhi Leonard and mess up his reputation, or undermine him, you're only undermining yourself. Because if Kawhi walks away from this team, hypothetically, if this team doesn't win a championship this year and Kawhi walks away, he's still a two-time champion. You still have no championships as an organization. Don't forget that. And that's something I think that the Clippers need to take heed to, because if you're not making this guy happy, well, this whole operation doesn't work. Kawhi doesn't want to be on a minutes restriction. If anything, as I said in my last video, either put him on a minutes restriction or allow him to play back-to-backs. If Kawhi doesn't choose to play back-to-backs, that's one thing. But you're taking away from him playing back-to-backs, and you got him on a minutes restriction. Kawhi's not going to get no rhythm that way. And I can tell you now, if he doesn't get into a rhythm, I don't give a damn what everybody else does on the team. It's just them putting up a bunch of empty stats and empty calorie points. That's really not going to matter. Because if he's not in rhythm, they're not going to win a championship. That's just that simple. So it's like, find a way to appeal to him, because I'm telling you, I feel like he's holding back some of his game intentionally. I can tell. I've seen Kawhi Leonard play for years. He's been my favorite player for a long time, ever since the San Antonio Spurs. So can't nobody tell me about Kawhi Leonard's game. I've studied his game in and out, from top to bottom. It's almost reversible the way I study his game and watched him play. And I can tell him coming off ACL, I understand that. But this is what I'm saying. When you look at some of the moves that Kawhi does, with the jab step, the turnaround spin, his knee is fine. His knee is fine. But this is the problem. He doesn't feel the need to be as aggressive because he's getting pulled out the games at the wrong time, and he's being told to possibly play within the flow of the team, which he's always pretty much done that, but he's always done it and been able to be aggressive at the same time. Now he's not being aggressive, and it's like he's not really trying to. I mean, a game like last night where he plays 30 minutes, Kawhi only takes like 10 to 12 shots. The other night against the Wizards, he only takes 10 to 12 shots. Why is he only taking 10 to 12 shots? Because Ty Lue's coaching piss poor, and the team is playing, the team overall is not playing up to the level of intensity that we think that they should. And on top of that, I feel like the organization is just, sending a bad message to the fans and to the team and just the whole operation right now. And like I said, people could blame it on Or say, hey, Kawhi, it's going to take him time. Yeah, you're right. It is going to take him time. But like I said, Kawhi wants to play. And I can tell you, a lot of people pull out the notion that Kawhi never wants to play. Well, I can tell you right now, he really does want to play. And this team is really holding him back. And this team is holding themselves back from getting to where they need to be. Because as I said before, we have a play-in tournament now. That means first to the 6th seed, you need to be one of those so you can get into the playoffs. Anything past that, you might be making to the play-in tournament, and that's a 1 or 2 game elimination. And I don't think that's where the Clippers want to go, because anything can happen in a situation like that. I mean, hell, they had Paul George last year, I think, for both games in the play-in tournament, and he couldn't even get him past the play-in tournament. I mean, they had him for the one game against Minnesota, which I thought they were going to beat Minnesota, and he couldn't get him past that. Then all of a sudden, the next game, Paul George didn't show up to the next game a few hours before the game started because he had COVID or some situation like that. And this is what I'm talking about. You see what I'm saying? So you don't want to put yourself in that situation. So you need Kawhi and PG at their best, along with John Wall, being comfortable, so they ain't got to fall into no play-in tournament possibility and fight their way out the play-in tournament and go all the way through the playoffs and try to get to the conference finals again and make it to the finals and win it. That's way too much work. This is what I'm saying. If your players feel like they want to play, if your guys say they're good enough to go, then you let them go. You don't sit there and try to hold back and continuously doing all this, because you see that's not working. Holding back, this team is a little bit above average. I mean, look at their record right now. I mean, they don't have like a 15-5 record. They don't have like a 21-5 record or something like that. No, they're not that good of a team. They're a little bit above average based upon the numbers and what you see right now, because guys being in and out the lineup, and on top of that, all this minutes restriction crap and all these other things. Let these guys go out there and play if they say they're ready to play, because they're only going to build chemistry by playing, not by playing every 2 to 3 games. And John Wall is on a minutes restriction and he ain't tear his ACL. John Wall should be the most freshest player on the roster. He didn't even play all last year with the Houston Rockets. Really, you're putting him on a minutes restriction for what? This is what I'm saying. Like, this team is going down if they don't make some better adjustments. And Ty Lue needs to coach a lot better. And I just don't know. I really don't know. Going into the season, the confidence was a lot higher. But to get excited for this team now, it is very, very hard to do that with all that I'm seeing and all that I'm not seeing. And Kawhi not being happy, I can tell you now, I'm not even worried about anything else. Until that man is happy, I'm not concerned about what this team is going to do. I'm not concerned about whether Paul George scores or not. I'm not concerned about Reggie Jackson. Not concerned about Marcus Morris. Not concerned about Zubac. Not concerned about any of the other players. If that guy isn't happy, I don't give a damn about anybody else on the team. They're not going to win a championship. Plain and simple. So find a way to get Kawhi to be aggressive again. Find a way to get his mental back into this, because I don't think Kawhi is mentally in it the way he should be, and the way the way he feels at this point, because I just don't see the aggressive Kawhi Leonard that we all are used to seeing. I don't give a damn if you got a big 4. Kawhi is supposed to be the guy. He's supposed to be aggressive. That's it. They're not going to win with Paul George being the guy. If that's the case, Paul George would have won a championship before he got to the Clippers. So, you already know that. So this is what I'm saying. Like, find a way to get everybody on point, and you got to appeal to your number one guys first. John Wall should not be complaining about minutes when he just got to this team and he ain't been on this team except a few months. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's not a good way to start off a greeting towards somebody that you invited into your camp. You see what I'm saying? Like, John Wall has fresh legs. This dude should be playing a lot more. He feel like he should be playing a lot more because, as I said, he didn't even play last year on Houston. He's probably the freshest player out there on their roster. So, whatever the case may be, find a way to fix it, or you'll find yourself not winning a championship. But here's my take on everything. Leave any comments in the comment section. Check out my other videos if you haven't. And hey, till next time.